Rom-coms, you either really love them or you absolutely hate them. Let's talk about Palm Springs. Let's Talk About is going to be a series on the channel where I talk about the movies and films that you guys recommend. So if you guys have any recommendations for future videos, such as TV shows and films, be sure to leave it in the comment section below and I'll be glad to respond. Also follow me on Twitter because that's where I'm going to announce the video beforehand so that we can actually have the time to watch the film in itself. So if you haven't watched the film already, please do so. I'm going to talk about it right now. This series is going to be split into two sections. There's going to be a non-spoiler section, and there's going to be a spoiler section. So let's start off with the non-spoilers. This film is amazing. It does something completely unique for a romantic comedy. Now, you might see this archetype, I mean, it's not really a spoiler already, they're stuck in a time loop in Edge of Tomorrow, Happy Death Day, or Groundhog Day, which kind of started it all. These films kind of have their own little suspense, their own little thrillers and whatnot. I mean, some people even tried making the time loop as more of a thriller and, you know, kind of scary and all this, but this film really does it really well for a romantic comedy when it comes to a time loop. Reason why is because when it comes to, let's say, a relationship, this romantic comedy doesn't do something that other romantic comedies do. Like for relationships in the first place, how they begun and how they're solved at the end, is not fantasy based. It's really more based on real life circumstances. So if you have a partner, if you're committed to that partner, you love that partner. Most of the time you're gonna be having sort of like issues, maybe breakups if there's some. But what matters within a relationship is resolving from those issues and growing together as a whole. This film does it perfectly. The cast members, you got Andy Samberg, Kristen Milioti, and these are honestly the best actors. Like, oh my gosh, I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased because I really like these guys, you know. Kristen, with her previous work, I remember the sitcom How I Met Your Mother, and that's just where I was like, yes. Once I seen her back in this film, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good film. I mean, biases aside, that's probably one thing that I had, but I still love the movie either way from how they did the story. So if you haven't watched the movie already, please do so. Watch it. It's on Hulu. I'm sure there's other ways to watch films that I will not discuss in this video. It's a really good film to watch. And that's all I gotta say. Now moving on to the spoilers. So, spoilers ahead. Spoiler section is gonna be split into 4 categories. Well, this film doesn't really go as in-depth as it should be, but what I'm really gonna talk about specifically is gonna be the writing. So let's talk mise-en-scène. Mise-en-scène is just a fancy word for anything that the viewer sees on the camera. So if you're watching a scene already from the beginning, such as this film, introductions to Andy Samberg's character, Niles, that's mise-en-scène. You get to see the actors, the props, the background, the scene in itself, you know, the room, everything, even the fact that it was in Palm Springs, that sort of factor, that's mise-en-scène. So it can also relate to writing as well. So we are introduced to Niles, and then we see his girlfriend, which I don't remember the name, but it probably does not seem relevant throughout the whole entire story. Well, relevant in the sense that it doesn't really show as a character development for the Niles as a character as a whole. Now, seeing him be introduced to his former girlfriend, that was just, you know, it was just awful. What did you guys think of that one? I mean, it's just, already from the beginning, you feel like this relationship wasn't really working out. And it's been shown throughout the whole entire film from the beginning. Then he went off to go to this wedding, and he was just like, okay, let's do a speech, let's talk about it, let's dance, and he is introduced to Sarah. Sarah is also not having a good time. It seems that she has her own little demons caught up with her, wink wink. So she wants to drink herself and just drown herself with sorrow. Niles is like, you know what, babe, it's okay, and now we're gonna talk about it, and this was an amazing dance number, and I just loved how this happened. It was a really good introduction. Yeah, that was the best part of the movie. But one of the things that you must factor in is also from an analytical point of view, Niles really seems almost showing his own bravado, very confident, and almost, it's a bit strange because, you know, as a person, where did this come from? Especially the fact how he recognized, you know, where this woman was gonna be, how drunk she was gonna be for him to even steal the wine glass. Seems kind of like planned. So I don't know if you guys already caught that from the beginning, but Niles really seems to know what is happening in current life. So it can be inferred that Niles had a good grasp of the situation of being stuck in a time loop, which we are then introduced with beautiful Roy coming in and just shooting him with a compound bow. Ow! Fuck! That's some big game hunting voice. So Niles goes back to this wonderful, weird cave thing, and then he goes back to waking up in time loop. So it's best inferred that once you interact with this cave, you will be stuck in a time loop. Sarah goes in because, you know, she wanted to know what the hell is going on. And there we go. I mean, that's just how the movie starts. I love the beginning though, how they do the sort of editing aspect, which I'm going to discuss in cinematography. Around 39 minutes, 39:40 to be exact, when the montage concluded of Sarah and Niles having a great time with each other, when they both wake up in separate beds, the camera cuts, well, I guess this can also apply to editing, between one side, Niles, and the other side, Sarah. Almost as if you're trying to show that they are on the same bed. Now, you can also say from the beginning, once Niles started talking about Roy said that marriage is just the bottomless pit. And this film really shows as almost an antithesis of what it means to be in a marriage. Of course, you must have love and commitment, as was mentioned in the beginning. But it's not only that, it's only growing from each other's, well, issues. We were then introduced to Niles' own demons of how he just accepted life and said life is meaningless. Sarah also agreed, but I think the reason why she agreed in this situation was because she likes Niles. And in the dinosaur scene, which was great, I was random, I thought it was just shrooms, but that seems to be part of the story, I love it. It really changed everything because Sarah noticed that, you know, when you come to be with a person, to be committed with a person, you gotta know the whole package. When you go through hard times, love conquers all. Especially Roy at the end of the film, when Niles came back and talked to Roy, he was like, dude, I just want you to hurt me to take this pain away. But Roy said that at least he found his person and that you shouldn't go through it alone. That is a huge juxtaposition because in the beginning, Niles was very focused on, you know, only himself and enjoying himself and being very secular in his own lifestyle. From the story of Roy to Niles, Roy told Niles that it's not you, it's me. From the ending to comparing to Niles waking up in the bed with his former girlfriend, it's not you, it's me. It's a strange twist to how that started, but then Niles started to conclude that, you know what, in order to be happy in life, I must be with this person. So that's where commitment comes into a rise, and especially from the fact how they both are in well knowing that they are stuck in a time loop and accepting it and going to this whole beautiful montage. They are already committed from the beginning. So as for cinematography and writing goes, it was really well done how they did the cinematography for that exact mark. Because once we've seen that, and then the editing comes into play of showing both lifestyles and separate, well, editing features, like you get to see Niles' point of view, then you get to see Sarah's point of view, trying to figure out what the hell, how are they inside this time loop? And then at the end, combining to only show their perspective instead of separate perspectives, you get to see the notion of a whole relationship happening. A relationship can be very difficult. Sometimes you both will not agree in some situations, and that will basically distance both of you. Niles' story is him regretting his decision. Sarah's story is her just, you know, figuring out how to get out of there and, you know, living her life. Both coming into conclusion at the end was perfect. It just shows how committed and how much love they had for each other. Now, as for sound goes, this film actually did it pretty well. It reminded me of a bit of a nostalgic factor when it comes to the 80s synth that they were doing, especially in the montage and the beginning. I love how they incorporated that. But other than that, it was a really good movie. I mean, there's some points that I would talk about that I don't want this video to go longer than it should be. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or any theories about what to talk about, oh, there is one thing. At the ending, they said that they got out of the time loop, or it can be, well, explicitly inferred. I believe it was at the end where the dog came into question, and then Sarah was like, you have a dog, and then the people, the neighbors of the household, they come into play, and they were just like, yo, fuck are you doing here in my household? Then Niles says casually that they come November the 10th, or was it 11th? Anyways, this is huge because there was no date specifically mentioned within the whole entire movie until this point, so we can just infer that the time loop is done, and they actually got out, especially at the end with Roy, which I thought that it was amazing how they sort of did the multiverse theory in this question. Since they are stuck in this sort of box, Roy tells Niles of, hey, so did you guys actually got it to work? Niles has no clue what Roy is talking about, or even who Roy is. I don't know if that could be a joke, or maybe I just missed the point, but I believe, you know, this is just up for me just theorizing. Niles got out of the time loop in present time. So that means there are two separate timelines. You have the Niles that is now with Sarah, and you have the Niles that's still at the wedding. The Niles at the wedding is living the present life as it should be. So that means Niles has no recollection of who Rory is in this timeline. So it could mean it worked. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it could also mean that, but the dinosaurs at the end with the drone shot coming into play at the end, that could also just be the directors just wink of just making fun of the whole time loop thing. But yeah, I don't know if that could also mean that the time loop is still present and somehow dinosaurs come into play and stuff, but whatever. Hell, maybe that's how Jurassic Park even started. You know, maybe this is all canon. You don't know. But yeah, that's the entire film. That's sort of my own critique. I mean, this wasn't really so based on all the 4 categories that I mentioned. I probably missed one, but it's a good film to watch. It's not something to be like analytical about, but I'm sure for you guys, if you guys have any TV shows or just movies in general that you guys want me to talk about, I'll be glad to talk about it. Palm Springs is a really good movie, and I hope you guys can enjoy it for just how it is. They have fun-loving actors, they have fun-loving characters within these actors, and just a really good connection and a really good relationship with the whole entire plot line as a whole. Sarah just conquered her demons by the end when she found how to get out of the time loop by her talking to Abe and was like, yo, Abe, you better not F this up, or else, you know, just gonna come back and just haunt you, that sort of thing. I mean, she knows that what Abe did to her in the beginning was bad, and Abe knows then. I don't know, it's just a really good story. I like how they resolve their conflicts at the end, their own really personal battles at the end, and it just makes it so much better because they ended up together and just like, you know what, it's all good. And it seems that's what a relationship really is love and commitment, but also a lot of commitment. I'm talking about you have to be determined to be in a relationship, to be with that person through the hard times, and to grow from it. Anyways, that is the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.